Hi guys, and welcome back to April Fool's 2012 for Guild Wars, the continuation quest, the Terminator 2 pretty much is what we're following here, and I'm running around doing the post-commentary. I've just finished doing the first episode. I went off, had some lunch. I'm actually kind of finding it hard to pick up my thread. This is like the third time I filmed this, but we'll see how it goes. So we've just defeated one of 4 bosses that exist around Lakeside County here. We defeated the Devourer boss, Molotov Rocktail, and got one of the items that can be used in Kieran Thackeray's scavenger hunt, which we don't really need, let's be honest, but whatever, we can get the items. It'll be handy for some people. I actually had someone message me saying, oh, this is such good luck, I really need to do this, and now the April Fool's quest here, and this has really helped me out, so that's cool. And I suppose you could keep grinding through this. These quests are repeatable, if I remember rightly. Last year's one definitely was, so you could just keep going, and even if they're not, you could do it on every different character, on all your different characters, and then in that way you could have all the different items. But anyway, there's a couple of things that despite going around giving you guys a tour, there's a couple of things that I did actually miss that were here, which I can read out from the wiki for you guys. Like, for example, you know, I said last episode that there were some extra hidden dialogues around the place. I didn't actually see all of them. There's this one here, which is like the main dialogue. Rurik says, let's hurry. The golem will likely try to impersonate someone else on the road in order to get close to us. And we say, well, how can you be sure about that? And Rurik says, it's what I would do if I was a shape-shifting golem from the future. They make so many stupid jokes about Rurik, like, knowing stuff. Like, he just seems so it's like, oh, my father always told me to listen to some time-traveling golem from the future. What is that? Are we taking this seriously? Did Adelburn really know about this? And then he's going on about that as if, see, I'm ready for this. I know. But anyway, so that's one of the dialogues. I did see that one. Now what you're supposed to do is go over there to Ashford Abbey, but we take a left here, and we're going to go to the second boss, the Drake Broodmother. This guy here, this fisherman, running over, I think he has dialogue for you. I don't catch it on film. I think he's supposed to run over to you and say, help, the Broodmother is causing trouble and I can't fish, will you go help me? Exactly the same as in Guild Wars 2. In Guild Wars 2, you will recognise this, right? There's a river near Divinity's Reach, and if the Broodmother spawned, then these NPCs will run over to you and say, help. So what they're doing here is kind of trying to do, like, dynamic events, if they were ever to exist in Guild Wars 1, which is really cool. And the reason I say this is because after I defeat this boss, we'll see that fisherman again, and he'll be like, thank you, now I can fish. It's very, very reminiscent of dynamic events, and it's super cool. Anyway, like I said last episode, I hadn't actually fought these guys before filming this episode. I'd played the quest, but I didn't know about all the side bosses. I'd only come across one. So I saw this, and this is literally how I reacted. I was like, oh my god, look at all the drakes there. Look at how big the Broodmother is. How are we going to sort this out? And I guess I kind of spoiled it already, but I did mention last episode that I managed to survive. I went with skill 6 straight away, so that hopefully I'd drag all the aggro from all these enemies, which luckily I did, and I could be invincible for a while. Because they all crowded around me, that allowed me to spam skill 2, just like we did in the cave, and managed to knock them out. My skill 6 is now down, and things start to get a little bit troublesome. Skill 1 acts as a bit of a lifesteal, a bit like when you're in a Janundu, but I really start to worry here. So I knock him down to interrupt one of his spells, and I think I get another interrupt off, but I suddenly realise after he hits me with this fireball, I'm going to die. So I interrupt Immolate there, you see. So I go with the last skill. Now that will heal you if you die while using it. So, but it will run out if you don't die quick enough. So I'm making a decision here. I'm like, oh shit, I've got to let him kill me. So while I could have been interrupting his skills, if I wasn't paying attention, I could have been like interrupting them. I actually had to let him kill me before it ran out, so I'd get the health boost and survive, which is really interesting. I really like the skill bar. I think it's quite fun. There you go, that's the Broodmother down, and who of course drops the Drake Kabob, which you would otherwise only be able to get in Nightfall, which is quite easy to get, but killing the Drakes for it is a pain in the arse. I don't know whether I mentioned it on the episode where I filmed that, but that took me ages to grind on those damn things. It took me absolutely ages, like, I shit you not, about 45 minutes of just zoning in and out that one portal. But anyway, yeah, so you kill the Broodmother, and this guy will run over. There you go, you can see him in this. Is just, thank you for killing the Broodmother, blah, 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 now I can fish again. Which is really cool. I think this is the only one that specifically looks like they're faking, if you will, a dynamic event. But it's cool to see anyway. I walk over here towards this mower pit. This NPC has some dialogue for us, but I thought I could just walk through, but you can't. Sadly, what I want to do now is just go to the next boss. But if you go outside Ashford, you'll trigger some more dialogue, as if, right, this is the next part of the quest. So I'm going to try and avoid going up there and speaking to them, but I can't. The only other way to do it would have been to go all the way around. So I kind of trigger this dialogue a little bit earlier than I wanted to. It doesn't really matter, though, because you still get the choice. This is what I was talking about before. You can kind of progress, and this is like the entrance of the dungeon now that we're coming up to. But it's more of an open world area before that, and you can go and explore, and if you will, do your side quests. It's really cool. I mean, I like it. I really like the way they've done it. So yeah, over here you see this is me moving, like, oh, I don't want to trigger the dialogue, but I accidentally do. Menlo says, Prince Rurik, what brings you to the Abbey today? And we say from the past, we're in trouble, Menlo. There's some kind of invincible golem chasing Gwen, and wait, this may be the golem in disguise, says Prince Rurik. First, we need to prove that he's really Brother Menlo. Fair enough. Rurik says, I'll ask you a question only the real Brother Menlo could answer. What do you love most in the world? I saw this answer coming. I really did. But he replies with sin. Oh, how beautiful. Yeah, I'll explain why I saw that coming a little bit more as we go further into some episodes later. Rurik says, possibly too easy. What do you fear most in this world? Also sin, which I thought was quite good. Don't forget, at this point in Prophecies, they weren't really being that explicit about their relationship. Rurik says, he's the real one, alright. In that case, we need to find a way to kill an evil shape-shifting golem from the future. Any ideas? Of course you've got an idea. Perhaps we could lure it into one of the lava pits in the dungeon below the Abbey. Now, that's how they killed it in the actual film. Rurik says, you have a dungeon under the Abbey, and it has lava pits, and in the catacombs we never saw lava pits, so what's he talking about? He says there are several layers of catacombs beneath the Abbey, actually. It seems like a bad idea to build an Abbey over a gaping cavern connected to the underworld, but I'm no architect. And Rurik replies, yes, very well, let us travel as soon as the golem's ready. And you get the choice to go in there. I'm going to make the choice not to. I like this idea of the catacombs there. He talks about a portal to the underworld. I think that's just in reference to one of those like scary crypt rooms where there's that shadow beast that you can find when you're in pre-searing like normal. And yeah, I typed I am not ready there. But I'm not sure if he's maybe mentioned something else. I think he is just talking about normal underworld stuff down there. That's why there's undead there, maybe. But in any case, that is kind of a bit of a reveal. I don't think we ever heard specifically that there was a portal to the underworld. But then obviously it mentions that even lower down, there's this other place. Which is cool because I think that's nice. It gives you a real impression of what the depths of Tyria are like. In one of my Guild Wars 2 videos lately, I talked about the depths of Tyria. And I don't think I really got across that dungeons, as we might know them, as you might know them in Guild Wars 2, could just be small caves, right? So, relatively close to the surface, maybe just a couple of miles down. The depths of Tyria, the region, are actually a whole lot more than that. They are way, way lower down, and I think this really gives you a nice impression of that here, because you kind of always think of the catacombs as going down a long way, but no, they're nothing compared to the real depths of Tyria, which is significantly lower behind that, which we've never seen before until this quest, which is cool. But yeah, you got these plague worms here. This is the next boss. These worms are always here in pre-searing, as you remember. If you just decide that you want to kill lots of the little worms here when you come back, some bigger worms will spawn, the plague worms, and then you want to kill those, and we'll see what happens. Now, as we go through this, I figure I can read some of this dialogue, as I was mentioned before, because I didn't see all of it, because we kind of went a bit of a weird walk. So, yeah, well, let's have a look here. There is some dialogue that should have triggered when we approach this worm field, where we say, us in the future at Embark Beach, say, what happens if we fail and the golem gets to Gwen? And Bane says, failure is not an option, soldier. We'll go back as many times as necessary to get the job done. And then we say, wait, we can do that? And Bane says, yes, but if we do, you probably won't remember this conversation. Again, I think these are probably so many references to the film. I've seen the films now, but I've never been good for remembering tiny little details and conversations like that. The trivia section's got loads on the references, which I might read when we actually get into the dungeon. There was another bit that we missed when we were walking on the road to Regent Valley, where we say, I'd forgotten how beautiful Ascalon was before the searing. I wish I could go back to those days. And Bane says, its beauty is certainly unparalleled, but sometimes you have to move on. You can't spend your life living in the past. So that's actually quite a good line there. Most of this is quite jokey, but that's not... Yeah, the worms are getting bigger here. You've got a siege worm there. Yep, they do slowly get bigger. What else is there that we missed? There was the actor stage one, I don't think we saw. Yeah, so we ask Bane, what's stopping the Char from sending back another more advanced golem if we beat this one? And Bane says, what? That's dumb. They've already sent back 2. How many more time-traveling golems could they possibly have? Well, shouldn't you know that? You're from the future, and haven't we had this conversation once before? And Bane says, don't think too hard about time travel. It will melt your brain. Yeah, so I think last year there was some dialogue like that, which is quite funny. South of Ashford, Rurik says, and we from the past say, what is it, Prince Rurik? And Rurik says, I know it's just a golem, but his confidence is inspiring. Look at how it charges headlong into battle, heedless of the consequences. And then Rurik says, I think I could learn a thing or two from it. A true prince leads his subjects from the front lines, does he not? And then we say, well, as long as you're not too reckless. Yeah, well, bear that in mind, Rurik, when you're trying to defend Grubel's Gulch, will you? Alright, and then the last bit of dialogue is later on, which I do actually manage to catch. So yeah, have I just killed on the screen? I was reading Wiki there, so I couldn't quite see. I think I did just kill on the screen. What was it? Oh, no. Okay, so these worms here, it's so weird, isn't it? Looking at Elder Siege worms from, like, the Fissure of Woe and the Catacombs of Cathandrax being here in the middle of I love it. Wouldn't this be amazing if in actual pre-searing Ascalon these things existed? It's kind of cool coming back here and seeing weird stuff like this. Like, gold items dropping here as well. Like, you've seen me pick some up already, I think. Gold items in pre-searing. It's just so weird to see that kind of thing. But when you kill these two Elder Siege worms, sadly I didn't catch the animation of it standing up. But when you do kill these, on my right, there you go, the Worm Queen appears. And this bitch, she's not as bad, I don't think, as Molotov Rocktail could have been if I'd aggroed everything, or the Drake Broodmother, because I didn't come as close to dying. But this bitch uses Worm Bile. If you remember from Frostmoors, do they use it anywhere else? I think it is only Frostmoors they use a horrible, horrible hex, massive, loads and loads and loads of pulses of damage on you and your teammates. And then when it ends, it will also disease you. So make sure your skill 3 is actually recharged so you can cast it nice and quickly to cure yourself of that disease and continue on. But yeah, there you go. That's that boss. She spawns a chest, which again right at her base, if you can see there. I cut it here again so that my health recharges. But there you go, that's the third boss. Just one more boss to go. Do you guys think you can guess exactly what boss it is? I guess while we wait for... No. I'll do the rest of the trivia and stuff later on while we're actually in the dungeon. But yeah, so it's quite cool wandering around here. I definitely did like that boss. There you go, there's the cut. We open up the chest. I clicked that the first time and the cupcake didn't appear, and then I had to click it again. Yeah, the last boss actually is over here by these raiders, which is quite cool because the raiders were, from my experience, my memory of all that time ago when I was here, were some of the harder things to fight, really, around here. I remember this being one of the harder quests. Lots of people. I remember farming this for experience as well, and lots of people would farm this one, I believe, for dyes as well. What I do is there's actually another group off on the north there that will patrol back down, but I kind of just slip in to kill the boss nice and quickly. This is Elaine. This boss here was... Do you remember? I actually think I did this one on the Let's Play. If you're doing protection prayers, one of those quests, you have to like escort a guy. I think it was... I can't remember his name. I think he was something the Protector. And you escort him and you kill this boss, or you defeat this boss, considering he's still alive at this point. He's quite an easy one, really. He's the easiest boss, if you ask me. I aggroed, obviously, all these groups at once because I'd ignored that other one off to the side. Oh, did they spawn and run in after he died? I'm not quite sure. I didn't catch that. But anyway, he will drop for you the ale for you, and then once you've got that, you're pretty much sorted. So that's like the hidden thing there. I like it because they didn't come out with some massive reward with it. They came out with a convenience reward for some players that might actually like that. There you go, some hard apple cider sat on the floor over there. The really fun thing about this isn't necessarily the rewards that you're getting from doing the quest. It's just because it's fun to do. I liked it. I really do like it when an MMO makes me feel that way, when Guild Wars makes me feel that way, because there was a point when I was going for God Walking Amongst Mere Mortals and all that stuff, and a lot of people fall into the trap. I've said it before, but they just start playing for the rewards and they forget to play the game for fun. Last night, when everyone was talking to the developer, one person asked, is there any point in me playing this quest if I've already maxed my Eben Vanguard title? And the developer just simply said, yeah, you play it for fun. And people forget that. They forget that. And this really was a lot of fun. I had the biggest smile on my face when I was playing this the first time. Especially from the moment that cutscene came and they changed the cutscene. Through all of this. Through walking around here and thinking about the stories that all of these characters are going to be going through. Me from the past and all the things I'd wind up doing. Hold on. So we come down here and we're really low down, and Menlo says, quickly, the lava pits are this way. Who knows how we got here? But Mirak the scribe says, you can't go down here, Menlo. This area has been closed off. Oh, really? He says, Mirak, what are you doing down here? I thought you were travelling to Foible's Fair today. That, of course, being the outpost, which I have now shown on my channel. I did it on one of the follow-up videos. I've still got loads of pre-searing footage I intend to use at some point. Stand aside, man. This is royal business, says Rurik. And we say, wait, Prince Rurik, something isn't right here. And it turns out he's the G1000, yeah. So you fight him again. There you go. You can see he shapeshifts. I did say he turns into different forms, different enemies, you'll see. You see him turn into a Char Shaman later on, I think. Or we might have already seen that, actually. You can turn into lots of different things. So here's how this dungeon works. You have to fight your way through to the lava pit. This is just a dungeon floor from Eye of the North that you'll probably recognise. I believe the Cathedral of Flames had the exact same map as this. You're just going to be running around fighting through the mobs. And the G1000, much like in the films... Hold on. Where it says, it's reforming, we must move now. We can fight it back if we need to. But it will only be a temporary solution. And then Menlo says, this way, to the lava pits. So this is kind of I suppose it's joking in a subtle way about the film. What you do is you beat the G1000, it disappears, and then it comes back. This is a big thing of the Terminator films, especially the first one, I remember. It just keeps coming back. You can't kill it. It keeps coming back. It keeps coming back. It keeps coming back. And that's what the gameplay here is. You fight it, and the whole idea of the gameplay is you need to keep pushing forward, but be careful and make sure the G1000 isn't behind you and you don't aggro it at the same time as some other groups. These undead, for example, can be very dangerous. Like the Necromancers cast barbs on you, and the Warriors will hurt you for a lot of damage. I believe they use Mark of Pain as well. Generally, it's easier when you're down here, though, because now we've got Brother Menlo in our party too, which makes things a lot easier. I think that this is set up in such a way that if you're quick enough, the first G1000 to spawn, like after you've beaten the first one, is quite slow getting back to you. I think it's set up that if you're quite good and you're quite fast about it and quite sharpish, you can just kill, you can run all the way there with the G1000 chasing you the whole way and he'll never catch you. But I didn't have the balls to try it. You'll see I get a really long way before I fight the second version of the G1000. My first time through the quest, you know that gate that opened? I didn't see the gate open, I just saw it was closed, and I started wandering around the early area really fast, so I never really got to experience this and try it out for real. But I think that it is set up that way, which is quite cool. But yeah, anyway, what I was saying, what I've really found quite fun about this is looking at all the characters we're with and the stories they go through, particularly just before you come in here with Menlo. Like, you're looking at Rurik, and he's kind of the most important character in the story at this point. He's the one you look at most. But in the grand scheme of things, he's the least important one. You've got Gwen walking. She's not in our party window, but she's walking around. She's like super important for Guild Wars 2. We go on to kill a god, and in fact, there's dialogue that we're saying idly as we move through. You might have caught some of it already. We say stuff like, one day I feel like I'm going to do something important. It's like, yeah, you are. You're going to kill a god, mate. It's amazing. Yeah, well done. And it's just really cool to put it on into context of what happens with all of these characters. Menlo, you know, ends up going off and doing all this stuff with you as well, and it's got a bit more story, which I'll be able to reveal later through Winds of Change. It's just, and then Rurik dies, and then there's other little things as well. There's little references, like you say, Great Snaff, which is actually a reference to Great Scott from Back to the Future, which is quite cool. But, you know, mentioning Snaff as well, you've got all these very Guild Wars 1 characters, but then it's kind of putting it into context of Guild Wars 2 as well, where it's looking at Snaff and how integral he was to come Guild Wars 2's time and what an important character he is. It was really, really fun for me to look at all this stuff and kind of see how the world evolves and have it kind of all neatly mashed up together like that. It's really, really fun, and I did enjoy it quite a lot, especially when the dialogue that they were saying was supporting it. Like Rurik's hilarious. Like I said, I mentioned it in the first episode. He's got some hilarious things he says. Like, one of the things he says, he said it a few times in the footage, I don't know specifically when, but he says to, oh, hold on, we got some dialogue. We say, is this really going to work? Will the lava kill it? And Bane says, if it burns, we can kill it. Okay, I'm sure we can. Yeah, one thing Rurik says is, remember when I was a boy, I spent much time in these lands. Look at how beautiful they still are, which is a reference to the Great Northern Wall, I think it is, or it's the ruins of Sirmia, I think it could be, where you're like going out north over the wall, and then there's all the tar pits and stuff, and he's like, oh, now look at how disgusting all these are. It's a really iconic line for Rurik, but he sat there saying it. Oh, it's just fantastic. And then there are a few lines. In fact, let's go back to Wiki. What else did they say? Yeah, so here you go. Here's some quotes. This is some quotes from you from the past. You say stuff like, you know, there are only 5 gods right now. I bet I'd make a good 6th god, which is obviously in reference to how much people raged when Cormyr became the god and you didn't. You say, sigh, I wonder if I'll ever get to level 20, in reference to how difficult it used to be to get to level 20 in pre-searing. One of these days I'm going to do something important, you'll see. Our battle quotes are, just be thankful I haven't learned all my profession skills yet. I hope this doesn't ruin my survivor title. Ugh, I knew I shouldn't have taken these skills. I don't suppose we can go back to an outpost. There's so many cool things. All of the references, in fact, I don't really think I've got time. I'll leave a link in the description to all of the dialogue that comes from you and Rurik, and particularly as well when you speak, you know, what I mentioned last episode about, oh, Paragons flew over from Nightfall to pre-searing Ascalon, all those kinds of references, they'll be there on that link as well. So if you guys are interested, I loved it. I really did. Seeing all of the little lines coming out, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, so you keep coming on through the dungeon here. I might speed this up or cut it forward just a tad. And eventually you come into this room here where there's the lava on the right and on the left. This is arguably the hardest like group to aggro as well when you get in here, because you're going to be fighting you're going to be fighting the 2 elementals, the fire elementals, and you're going to be fighting a couple of Murgoyles at the same time. Make sure that you don't aggro the G1002 at the same moment. That would just be terrible. If you come over here, Bane says, no, you can't use the lava pit. It's not hot enough to destroy the golems. Why can't you use this lava pit? Which is exactly what we ask. We say, not hot enough, it's lava. And Bane will reply, look, I'm from the future. You'll just have to trust me on this one. I have many years of advanced lava studies backing me up. I'm sure you do, Bane. So I guess this is because in like the mechanics of how they were developing the quest, they didn't want to seal off that door or something, or they needed a reason why only one of the lava pits would work, and that's what they threw in there. Quite funny. And by going that way, you can actually trick the G1000. It thinks you've gone to the right place immediately, but it's actually come over here. And finally, when you get over there, skill 7 will become available. You can use it, toss it in the lava. Gwen says, is it dead? And we say, annihilated. And this is very much, if you've seen Terminator 2, you'll know what's coming here. And we from the past say, well, I just hope that repairs the timeline. And we say, no, there is one more thing that should not be here. And if you've seen Terminator 2, it's got quite a sad end, actually. And Gwen says, wait, you mean... What could we mean? It has to end here. Do you like my Golem accent, by the way? Please, if you're gonna tell me anything in the comments, tell me it's amazing. Bane says you'll have to command the golem into the lava pit. It can't self-annihilate, so we have to kill ourselves to repair the timeline. Which is why this is a time travel story, but it cleans itself up. And I was like, how can I walk into this dramatically? So I took a few little baby steps. This is where if Guild Wars 1 had a walk command, I would have done that. But I walk in, I spin the camera around a bit crazy. The future is what you make it, is the note that comes up. If you fail, it says the future refused to change. I believe that's a reference to Chrono Trigger or something. And then I zoomed in first person and looked up at the ceiling as if I was dying. And it actually could work quite nicely, because then I zoned into Embark Beach with this beautiful view of the sunny palm trees back in our real time and the boat, which I thought was quite cool. And then I was like, all right, I'll stay in first person. You know, I'll roleplay this. Look, I'm looking around. But then I zoomed out. So, yeah, there you go, guys. April Fool's 2012. I really liked it. I guess we can expect Terminator 3 next year. I saw a few people complaining to the developer the other day, oh, why don't you go back to what you used to do, where you made everyone stickmen, or you made mini-pets massive and people tiny, why don't you do that? Which was cool. I don't see why they can't do both, to be honest. They could just add a new quest and then use one of those old things as well, but they don't seem to want to do that. And yeah, the developer just said, look forward to the anniversary. Anyway, you can speak to Corporal Bane. He says, you did it, the timeline has been restored and Gwen is safe. I sure hope that that's the last of these Annihilator golems. All this time travel is giving me a headache. And you can pick up your rewards, which is pretty awesome. You see the arena guys there. Obviously, last year you were with the arena guy the whole way through the quest, but not this time. And yeah, so I am expecting Terminator 3 next year, definitely. I might actually rewatch the film, because I don't remember much about Terminator 3 anymore. I might rewatch it just to kind of see where they might go with. But where they've kind of added it into Guild Wars, it's bound to not be very similar to the film anyway. But yeah, I just came and sat down here for the end of the video. I hope you guys like this. I thought April Fool's was really, really cool this year, just as cool as last year. Maybe not as out of the blue as last year, but definitely still very awesome. I think the developers obviously put a lot of effort into that. That's why they haven't really... I doubt they've really been working on the next chapter of Guild Wars Beyond. I really do. And it sounds like they're working on the anniversary update now, which, as I said, will be the later this month. So thanks very much for watching, guys. I guess we'll look out for that, and I'll see you next time. Hope you have a good day.